Hello everyone, it's Lindsay, and today we're going to do a little check-in because my last few days have just been not how I had planned. So I had been sharing my gratitude documented pages over on my Instagram in my stories and was saving it to a story feed each and every day. I was keeping up with doing the daily entries, and then my whole family got hit with like some kind of flu bug, and I'm just getting my voice back and I fell way behind. So I went ahead and spent this weekend while I didn't have voice to catch up on my daily entries for gratitude documented, and thought I would just go ahead and share with you the first 10 entries, and then I'll do another video for 11 through 20, and then 21 through 30 at the end of the month. So we'll have 3 wrap-up videos through gratitude documented is going to be my plan. So we'll see how it goes. You guys, I'm obsessed. This is my hands down favorite gratitude documented project I have ever done. Before we dive in, I want to share that I will try to link as much as I can down below in the description box as far as all the different little products that I've used. I've used things from all over the place. So if I forget to link something, just leave me a comment and I will link it. For reference, I did go ahead and deconstruct the Traveler's Notebook that came in the Illustrated Faith kit. The physical kit is sold out, so just heads up on that. They do still have digital product in the Print and Pray shop. So it's not too late to join in. I know we're only, today is day 11, so we are a third of the way through, but that's okay. You can still jump in, and even if you only do the rest of the month, that's okay. So I made mine a ring-bound album like I showed you in my product roundup video. I'll link that video down below. I'm already discovering that I'm going to have to get bigger rings because we are only a third of the way through, and this is like chunky mama extreme, and so I will have to get new rings, but that's okay. That's what I like about having the ring bound, is that I can swap that out and change things as I go along. So let's kind of go through some of these. You've already seen over on my Instagram. One of them we did as an Instagram live together, but I've done quite a bit more and want to kind of fill you in with some other things I've done. So I did show you this entry for day 1 in my roundup video, and so I talk a little bit about how I'm going to try to incorporate some photos throughout this project. So far I've done pretty good. I've only used one stock photo, this stock photo. I think the rest of them have all been my photos, so that's been kind of fun. So I'm doing kind of the same formula for each spread. So I'm doing like a photo with lots of layering. I'm layering up the prompt card, and then I'm adding a prayer request card to have my personal prayer, and then somewhere I'm adding the verse. So like here I added the verse on a piece of vellum. Sometimes I'm adding it in little pockets or things like that, and so I'll kind of show you that as I go through. I am also adding little tags here and there. I love having all this fluff kind of sticking out. So for day 1 was God winks. I talk about seeing little God winks in nature and just how much this resonated with me, so definitely check out that video if you missed it. I did come back and add in a number, so this is something that I changed my mind and decided to do. I'm going to go ahead and number each one of the entries. I have these Felicity Jane Zoe chipboard numbers. I've just about used all that I can use so far, but these are awesome. They are some bright colors, but for the most part they were neutrals that I could use for the first like 10 days. So I will mix in some other things as we go along. These prayer request cards are from AllieScraps, and I just cut them down and run them through my typewriter. I've had lots of questions about my typewriter. I did have a vintage typewriter that my husband had found me, and then he found one of the We Are Memory Keepers typewriters at Tuesday Mornings, I think for like $99. So he grabbed that for me because my vintage one was a little bit finicky, and I'm obsessed. I know that this typewriter is super expensive, you guys. It's even at $100, that's really expensive, but I have used it constantly this week, and it makes it so nice just to run things through. I've typed on paper bags, I've typed on vellum, I've typed on, my cards, all kinds of things like that. All right, for day 2 was rainbows, and I did share this on my Instagram, and I saw lots of you kind of taking the idea and also incorporating it, which I love seeing. So for this one, I didn't have a photo of my own of rainbows, so I just took some of the papers from the Maggie Home Heritage Collection and cut them into like little bow shapes, and then taped them together and then ran them through my sewing machine. So that is paper, not fabric. I know I did have some questions on my Instagram. It is paper. And I did a all about using paper in Bible journaling tip Tuesday. I'll link that down below. And then tomorrow I'm going to have all about fabric, because you'll be seeing some fun fabric pieces in here as well. So I used a stamp set from By the Will for God. This is the Eva Love stamp set. That was a fundraiser they're doing for Miss Eva. So you can definitely check that out. Like I said, everything will be linked down below. Typed out the verse on a little scrap piece of paper bag, and added some of the die cut pieces from the Illustrated Faith kit, layered some printables from AllieScraps, some thread. I'm just loving lots of texture and lots of dimension. All right, for day 3 was meekness. And so this was a word, like, I know how to use the word. I know a rough translation of the word, but I wanted to dive in and do a deeper word study. So I went ahead and bought the printable version of the Word Nerd notebook and printed out the tags, which are basically the pages of the Traveler's Notebook, cut them down into tag shapes, and then went ahead and did a word study for day 3 and inserted that in here. So that's kind of another nice thing about having the rings, is I can insert, all kinds of extra little things as I go along. So meekness, all about this idea of righteous, humble, teachable, and patient under suffering. This is a big key thing that I am really focusing on this month. It's been a rough couple of months for me, and so I had this photo that I took recently. I've started going back to the gym and exercising as a way to deal with stress and anxiety and depression, and so I was on a walk the other morning before church, and I took this photo, and while I was walking, I was just praying and just really spending some intimate time with God. And so as I'm reflecting on this patient under suffering, I thought, what a timely place to use this photo. So I did mention in my product roundup video that I'm using these like little Polaroid templates. They're from Etsy. I'll link them down below. And you just drop the photo into them in Photoshop, and it makes them look like a little Polaroid. So I printed that picture, layered some acetate pieces from Illustrated Faith. These are sold out. Some alpha stickers, some stickers from the kit, little paper clip from Felicity Jane, little stapled piece of ribbon and some texture, popping things up on foam adhesive. And then for the word study, I went in and used, this is a printable from the Print and Pray shop from Elaine Davis, layered one of the stickers from the kit, some die cuts from the kit, and then I did go ahead and mix and match like stamping and just writing in there. I don't want these to take too long, so I've tried to keep them as simple as I possibly can. Some get a little bit more crazy. On the back side here is another one of those chipboard numbers from Felicity Jane, some more of that sticker from Illustrated Faith, and then these are some alphabet stickers from By the Will for God. So what you'll see throughout this whole project is I am just cramming product from all different kind of companies, and it's been fun to see, kind of a challenge to pick colors that coordinate and mix and match different styles. Went ahead and included a prayer request card, and another one of those acetate pieces. And then I have been doubling up the prayer request cards. So I'm printing 2 of them, and then I just, run this through my typewriter for that day when I do it. The next day I run another one through the typewriter, and then I just glue them together, and then there's my little prayer. And so keeping it streamlined that way has really worked well for me. For day 4 is all about self-control. This is one that I did on my Instagram Live, which is no longer available. That was only available for 24 hours, but we just kind of hung out and created together. It was really, really fun. I plan on doing that a couple more times through this project. I pulled out a bunch of my old Felicity Jane, not old, but past kit Felicity Jane die cut pieces, and kind of challenged myself to use up some of those pieces. So used a bunch of Felicity Jane, talking about self-control. Like I said, I'm on a health journey, and so I'm really trying to eat better. I always eat pretty good, but I'm really trying to be very, very good about how I'm eating. And so this was the picture that I had taken of my lunch right when I started a few weeks ago, and so I went ahead and included that. did my little prayer card. This was a number die cut from Felicity Jane that I just popped up on some foam adhesive. And then we got all done and I realized I hadn't included the verse. So I went ahead and just typed out the verse on a piece of vellum and then just clipped it into the rings, and I'm okay with that. This little acorn paper clip is from Gail. She's Flourished by Gigi on Instagram. She does Instagram sales with her felted paper clips, this little hearts from her too. So I'll be sure to link her Instagram down below for you guys. She periodically does sales on there. I've had a lot of fun layering up like glassine bags, paper bags, thread, little washi strips, using lots and lots of the stickers and papers and things from the Maggie Holmes Heritage Collection. This was a stamp from By the Well for God, which is also designed by Brenda Weaver, so it matches the florals that are already pre-printed on the notebook itself. So trying to incorporate some more of those in there as well. Day 5 was all about sanctification and this idea of being set apart and being made holy. So I didn't really have a photo that I wanted to use for today, so I just had a big bold title, Set Apart. These are some leatherette alphas from Felicity Jane. If they're still available, I'll link them down below. But I layered them on some Maggie Holmes paper, added some stitching detail. This little girl is actually the stamp set from the Illustrated Faith kit, and I paper pieced her. So I stamped her out on a variety of different papers from Maggie Holmes, fussy cut them out, and then layered them up to have her all colored in. I do have a Tip Tuesday that shows how I do this, so I'll link that down below. This was a stamp set from Illustrated Faith. If it's still available, I'll link it down below, but I just stamped it in black on white cardstock and fussy cut it out, and then had that as like a little layering element. Some die cuts from the kit, another one of those chipboard numbers, again layering up paper bags and staple detail. All of my paper that I tear or have strips of, I just throw them in my gratitude box and pull them out and use them to layer behind things as I go along. So this was another one that I wanted to do a word study on, and by the time I had done all this, I just did not have this is about the time I was getting sick, so I didn't have the energy to go into an elaborate detailed word study with like stamps and stickers and things. So that's okay. I already had the cards printed and I just hand wrote in a lot of the stuff. I had kind of messed up what I was writing, so I went ahead and added a little bit of pattern paper, a little bit of washi tape to the bottom. These were some trimmings that came from A Pile of Ashes. She did like a little mini album kit that you could purchase that had all these fun cards and trimmings and things like that in there, so I've incorporated those throughout here as well. And then again, this was printed from the Word Nerd devotional, so I just did the cards back to back instead of like an open spread. Used one of the stickers from the kit, wrote in some cross references. I did not do any new word study. I may come back in and fill this back out, but like I said, kept it really simple. It does not have to be stamps and stickers and all that craziness. You can just, hand write things in. And while this looks like it is a lot, not everybody needs to look like mine. If you don't have enough time or enough product or whatever it is, it's okay. Do not compare what you're doing to what I'm doing. I know that's really hard, especially when there's so many of us doing this project and sharing them. This is just to give you little ideas and things like that. It really doesn't take that much time. A lot of it is stuff that I already had in my stash. Just throw it in the box, pull things out and throw it together. But you just do what you have time for. So another prayer card for day 5. This was some of the stickers from Maggie Holmes in the sticker book. They're a clear sticker, so I actually stuck it on a piece of white cardstock and then fussy cut it out and then put it up on some foam adhesive. These were some leaves that I had die cut out like 2 years ago for Gratitude Documented, using some hymnals, old hymnals, and I added like distress ink to them. And so again, I had them in my gratitude box from 2 years ago, pulled them out and layered them on there. On the back side here, this is day 6 for refuge, and the verse is in Psalms 62, 5 through 8, and it's talking about how God is our rock, my salvation, my fortress. And so this imagery of a fortress, I set out looking for a stock imagery of like a really pretty castle. I initially was trying to look for a castle in Germany. I was born in Germany, for those who didn't know that. There's a little tidbit about me. Not German, army brat. And while I was searching for castle photos, I was like, oh my gosh, my sister and I just went on a trip to Harry Potter world this summer, and I had this photo of the castle in Harry Potter. And so I know like that has nothing to do with gratitude documented, but it's this beautiful castle. It's really, really cool looking. And it's my photo, and it was a photo that I hadn't documented yet. So I went ahead and used that for my castle imagery for today, or for the refuge day. I used some of the stickers from Maggie Holmes' Heritage Collection to spell out "He is my refuge." Again, layering it up with, you know, thread and paper and washi, things like that, more chipboard numbers. And then these are what I'm going to be showing you in the Fabric Tip Tuesday. So these are fabric that I die cut out using my die cutting machine, and created some little flowers and some leaves and really fun textures to add onto here. I love how these came out. So added lots of those. And it was at this point, so I'd done my prayer, I'd done all this, and then realized I didn't have my verse on there. So I went ahead and just typed my verse out onto a scrap piece of paper and kind of sandwiched an edge of it in between my two prayer cards. So now I have like a little flap. So I've got my verse, I've got my prayer. I could actually come back and add notes in here if I wanted to, or, you know, some more decorative things. But I love, this is one of my favorite days of this process was Refuge. Some more stickers from the Maggie Holmes collection. Really, really fun pieces there. For day 7, we're talking about salvation. So of course, when I think salvation, I also think baptism, because that's, you know, a public expression of our faith when we're saved. And so I have this photo of my dad actually baptized me back in 2013. I have documented this photo over and over and over. It's a favorite of mine. So I pulled it back out, put it into the little Polaroid image and printed that out, and then layered it up with some of those Illustrated Faith acetate pieces, and then some of the die cut like vellum pieces and things from the Maggie Holmes Heritage Collection. It says, "Always remember." I love this piece that says, "These are the moments I want to keep in my heart forever." Again, just layering up pieces. It makes it really easy with these printed backgrounds because all the stitching detail, all the washi detail, that's already printed on there, so I didn't really have to do that much. Have my prayer request card, went ahead and typed out the verse on a piece of paper bag. Here's another one of those chipboards. And I love like leaving little pieces hanging off the edge because it almost creates its own little like tab for you to turn the page. So here's that chipboard number 7. And then on the back side here is going to be for testimony. And actually, one thing I didn't show you was on here. So I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. I stamped tone on tone. So this again is that stamp from By the Will for God, and I stamped it in a yellow ink on my prayer card just to add a little bit of detail. And I loved that element. So I did the same thing on here, but I used this Delicata white shimmer ink, and it was really, really faint. It is catching the light right there. It was really, really faint. It wasn't how I wanted it. So I actually went back in with some Perfect Pearls and dusted some Perfect Pearls onto the ink while it was still wet. And so now it's got this really fun shimmery effect. So again, this is a stamp from By the Will for God. Those will all be linked down below for you guys. Went ahead and typed out my prayer. And then for testimony, of course, I had a lot to write about. So I used one of these vellum pockets from Felicity Jane. These are awesome. They're like a pocket front. So it's just the front piece of the pocket with some adhesive on the back, and then it just sticks down to the page and makes the pocket. Super, super easy. Added some more of those fabric die cut pieces that I created. Again, stay tuned. That video will be out tomorrow, hopefully, showing how I did these. Die cut from the Illustrated Faith kit, some stickers from Maggie Holmes. For the number here, I didn't like the number 8 was super bright in the Felicity Jane pieces. And so this was a fun element that I had been thinking about doing for a while. So these are some die cut numbers from Concord and 9th. They're an outline number. I'm not sure if they're still available. If they are, I'll link them down below. But it cuts out like an outline and a solid. And so I cut out the number, and rather than like throwing away the negative space, I actually adhered some like clear transparency on the back, and then just adhered the number 8 without the outline in there, and just kind of gives you this fun, I don't know, I really love how that piece came out there. I attached it with a little Felicity Jane paper clip, some more stickers from Maggie Holmes, and then inside the pocket, I did a fabric tag. So I already had a bunch of fabric prepped because I add like sizing to the back of it. So I had a bunch that was already prepped for when I was die cutting. I went ahead and just cut out a tag from that fabric and then added a second piece that was cut from cardstock as well to kind of give it a little bit more stiffness. And then I typed out the verse and actually included the verse on the front of the tag. I'd already assembled the tag, so I just stitched around my verse separate and then like cut it out and then adhered it down. So it isn't stitched all the way through the tag, if that makes sense. But I really love the fun texture that that adds. And then I just wrote out the story of my testimony, of my just giving my life over to God. I was in the NICU right after the boys were born, so I'm kind of telling the story on the back of that little tag piece. I really love how that came together. So that's day 8. Day 9 is Wonder, and I was just trying to flip through and find some photos that I thought would work for this day, and I had this photo of my son Aiden. We had traveled to Idaho this summer, and we took a plane. It was the first plane ride for the boys, and I caught this picture of him looking out the window as we flew over the Sierra Mountains, and so when I edited it, I kind of like desaturated the rest of the photo, but then left the window part, you know, really nice and bright and saturated. And this blue really ties in with the blue that's already printed in here. And I just love, for me, I have a lot of wonder when I walk outside in nature and just marvel at all the different things that God has created and just all the little details and touches. And I just love this childlike wonder idea. So that's kind of how I came about using that photo there. Layered up these, let me see, I don't have them right here, do I? No, these were some library card sticky notes from Illustrated Faith. I don't know if they're available or not still. I'll link them down below if I can find them, but it's like a sticky pad of, you know, sticky sheets. And so I used that to layer behind the photo. These were some of the cross stickers from the Word Nerd kit. I believe they have a print and pray digital of these as well. I used the stamp set from the Illustrated Faith kit and stamped some of those leaf and acorns in some colored inks just as a background element. And then again, just popping up the card with some thread. I love the little backward staples that are printed on the cards. I don't know if you can see that. So they're like printed on there. So I went ahead and just did the same thing. Stapled it backwards so that you have that texture. And then this was one of the stamps from the stamp set that I stamped on some vellum, layered a number sticker, and have my number 9. And now I'm just realizing I have double number 9s. That was not that was not intentional. I really wanted you to know it was day number 9. So these are some tags that I had already created. I'll link that video down below where I created these. But again, used another piece from Felicity Jane for my number 9. And then I just hand wrote the Luke 5:26 verse on the back side of here. Have my prayer request card again that I typed out on. And then for day 10 here, kept it very simple. I didn't really have any photos for discipleship. So I just have my big title here, Teach Me How to Teach. Again, using a variety of alpha stickers from Felicity Jane that I added to these printable labels from AllieScraps. Stitched through the stickers just to add some texture. Layered one of the stickers from the Illustrated Faith kit that I actually cut it in half. So it's just half of it on the bottom and half on the top. That way I'm not wasting any in between there. Again, I got all done and realized I hadn't done my verse, so I just wrote out the verse down here. Added some stickers from the Maggie Holmes collection, again using some glassine and some more stickers. This is one of those felted pieces from Flourish by Gigi. And then another die cut fabric piece that I created with a little enamel sticker as the center of my flower, and then layered it with some of the clear stickers from the Maggie Holmes collection. This stamp here that today I'm grateful for is from the Felicity Jane Harper stamp set. I got all the way to day 10 and then realized I hadn't used this yet. I had it in a separate box, so I pulled this out. If this is still available, I will link it down below for you guys as well. The Harper collection this month matches perfectly with the Gratitude Documented colors if you haven't checked that out already. But So yeah, so there's a look at my first 10 days in Gratitude Documented. I am obsessed. I love with how this project is coming together. I love all the texture and the chunkiness, and that I'm getting, you know, the scripture written and room for plenty of prayer. And I also have areas that I can add, you know, notes and thoughts and things like that if I want to come back and add those. It's just something that you can continuously add into if I want to. And then it's just a keepsake piece that I will have, you know, year after year. So there's a look at the first 10 days. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down below. Check out the description box. I will try to link as much as I can in there for you guys. And I won't be doing process videos for the day-to-day entries. I don't think I will do some more lives over on Instagram. So be sure to follow me over there at LindseyDecor413. And we can do a few lives together. And yeah, so there's a look at Gratitude Documented. Give this video a thumbs up if you were inspired. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already subscribed. Be sure to click on that bell notification button so you don't miss any future videos from me. And until next time, thank you so much. Bye-bye.